And this is precisely yung problema ng Aristotelian argument, no? I would personally be convinced kung yung Diyos nagmamanifest sa actual reality and not in concepts using empirical evidence rather than metaphysical ones, no? So the question was posed, is the Aristotelian argument makes believe that the God exists reasonable? I think ang isang all-powerful, all-knowing, all-good, all-present, perfect and loving creator of the universe would provide a much better evidence rather than appealing sa metaphysics at faulty human logic. So by that, I will end my opening statement and ibibigay ko na yung floor sa ating moderator. Thank you.
So kung anong naintindihan ko sa sinabi ni Sir Mark. First is, of course, sabi niya na paano mo nasabing necessarily merong cause ang isang bagay na alam naman natin yung consciousness ng tao is limited into their senses. Tama ba ako, Sir Mark? Correct me if I'm wrong, right? Limited sa ating senses yung ating napiperceive, of course. Hindi tama na sasabihin natin porket ganito ang galawan ng first law of motion, ganito na rin sa metaphysical world. Kasi kung may background kayong konti ako may konting kalaman ako sa quantum physics. So yung double slit experiment, the quantum entanglement. So the conclusions, one of the conclusions sa mga experiments na yun or sa mga theories na yun is whenever isang physical na experiment is observed, hindi katulad ang kanilang result sa isang experiment na hindi na-observe. Whenever there's a conscious mind na nag-observe nitong experiments, nag-iiba ang kanyang result. That means, hindi lahat ng bagay sa metaphysical world is the same theoretically sa physical world. So, feeling ko yun ang meaning ni Sir Mar na paano naging ganun. And isa pa, yung kanyang why do you have to label the cause, the first cause as God. Kasi when you say God, the word God has existed siguro for 1,000 years or 1,000,000 years sa simula pa ng human race. And when you say God, sa salitang God, may baggage na siguro kailangan mo i-prove paano naging God yung iyong cause. And yeah, so yun na yun. So let's have Sir Mark Steven. Sorry Sir Mark Steven, wala akong masyadong masabi sa yung mga statements kasi of course, yun na yun. Mahirap siya i-explain, to be honest. Kasi parang self-explanatory na siya and of course, lahat nasa English. And na-explain ni Sir Mark yung iba. And sige, Sir Mark Steven, start mo yung rebuttals mo for sa opening speech ni Sir Mark.
Okay, thank you Sir Adriel and Sir Mar. So, maybe I have to apologize for speaking in English because I really find it difficult to speak in Filipino safely. So, I have to speak in English. Para makasinabot me. Now, I also used a lot of jargons, act and potency, like that, material causality, efficient causality, formal causality. I have to use that. As Facer has noted in the lecture, he has to use first common sense, that change of course, and then from the common sense we abstract concepts, which we then use jargons to describe these concepts so that we can move beyond common sense but not to contradict it and to follow our abstractions from common sense to their logical consequences. So we have to do that. Okay, so maybe the first point raised by Sir Mar is that it committed the black swan fallacy. The black swan fallacy. according to just a quick Google search, it is defined as the black swan fallacy is one in which the arguer ignores contradictory evidence on the basis of past experience. This can also be a variation of the argument from Durance. Okay, so if correct me if I'm wrong, but maybe the argument that which is pointed out, which is fallacious, premise 2. So premise 2, we read, change is the actualization of a potential. And in premise 3, so the actualization of a potential is a real feature of the world. So maybe the claim is that maybe, just maybe, some potentials do not have to be actualized, and we just say that all potentials are actualized just because all we observe and all things we observe that are merely potential, they have to be, they only change when such potentials are actualized. I think that is just another way of saying that we don't know, no? Or to put it bluntly, that I don't understand, no, the nature of change, because as we have said, the analysis of change as the actualization of potential follows from the problem raised by Parmenides, which is that if change involves something coming from nothing, then change would be impossible, because something coming from nothing is impossible. Aristotle came in and resolved the problem raised by Parmenides, because we just know that change occurs. In fact, Sir Mar argues that change occurs. And the problem with Parmenides' claim is that he assumed that the coming to be of something from nothing is an essential part of change. In fact, Aristotle would say that it is not at all involved in the process of change. What change involves is something coming from something. But there are different kinds of somethings involved. Potency coming to actuality. And what if some potentialities just become actualized without an actualizer? And that is contrary to the principle of causality. No? Now, one problem of that, one of the problems of this position of rejecting such principle, of the principle of causality, is that, for example, the water has already had the potential to be hot even before the fire actualizes that potential. No? That potential already existed in the water. But now, if potentials without actualizers are sufficient to actualize its potency to be hot or to be cold, then it should have already become hot even before the actualizing power of the fire itself is actualized. Diba? That's the problem, because if the potentiality is already in the water before it becomes hot, and potentiality is enough to raise itself to act, then it should have already been actualized, but it is not. It waits for the actualizing power of the fire for it to be actualized. Therefore, it is reasonable to conclude that change involves the actualization of a potential. Point 2, he raised also that even the unmoved mover must have a mover, because he said one way in which to summarize the premise of Aristotle is that of the Aristotelian proof is that, quote, everything has a cause. He directly said that one of the premises of the argument is that everything has a cause. Now, if you read all premises from 1 to 50, you cannot find a single premise which states everything has a cause. In fact, not even a single, I think, Fraser contends in chapter 6, I think, or chapter 7, I mean, of his book, that no single competent natural theologian has made the claim that it is part of a premise, a cosmological argument, that everything has a cause. Rather, they always say, for example, for Leibniz, anything that exists has an explanation for its existence, either in its in the necessity of its own nature or in something else. The Kalam cosmological argument does not say that everything has a cause. It says that everything that begins to exist has a cause. Now, so what I'm saying is that is a strawman that commits the fallacy of strawman, because everything has a cause has never been a premise of the Aristotelian proof, neither in other arguments for God's existence, because the premise states that not that everything has a cause, but that everything change involves the actualization of a potential. No? And point 4, this is the heart, no, of it. No potential can be actualized unless something already actual that actualizes it. So everything that is composed of act and potency, meaning everything that has moved from potency to act, must have an actualizer. There is a qualification, no, that everything that moves from potency to act, not just everything that has an actualizer. Because yes, I would agree that if that is a part of the argument, then yes, that would commit the fallacy of special pleading. Because why would God not be that, or not also need a cause or an actualizer? But as I said, that is a straw man. It has never been a premise of the argument. Why we are not excluding God in the general principle that is raised in the premise. No? Exclude God is to say that he's an exception to the rule, but that is not the case, because the rule is that everything that moves from potency to act needs an actualizer. But God did not move in principle. The first actualizer did not move from potency to act, because if he does, then there has to be something else to actualize him. So by definition, or not just by definition, but by the nature, you know, by the very nature of what is needed to ground the existence of anything that undergoes change, there has to be a purely actualizer. That is not special pleading, because it does not exclude. It's not an exception to the rule. Okay, 4. It says that he has pointed out that the principle of causality is maybe if it is rooted by science, and science is merely descriptive and not prescriptive, then the principle of causality is not grounded. No? Maybe it is not true. It's just our best guess so far. But that is a problem, no? Because a denial of the principle of causality would also violate the principle of sufficient reason, because something in the effect, no, if PC or principle of causality is false, then there must be something in the effect that is not in the cause. But in that case, there's something that is in the effect that is inexplicable, and therefore violating the PSR. And if this will be raised further, the violation of a PSR, to deny PSR, one has to assume it is true. More on this later. The next point is that Sir Mar has said that the universe could just have come to be through different processes that does not need a first cause, which is God, no, a first actualizer, which is God. But as I've said earlier, we have to distinguish between two kinds of causal series. Now, the first is that of an accidentally ordered causal series, and second is that of an essentially ordered causal series. So, as I have said, what is the kind of causal regress that is being tackled here? No? It is the second. It is the essentially ordered causal series. To say that this is about the beginning of the universe is to assume that the causal series pointed out by Fraser and Aristotle is that of a series ordered accidentally, which is irrelevant, no, to the discussion. And next, he has also mentioned the Sean Carroll and Craig debate. Yes, I have watched that, but as I have said, the Kalam cosmological argument is very different from the Aristotelian argument, because the Kalam cosmological argument it does not assume, but it uses the principle that it uses the causal series that is ordered accidentally, whereas the Aristotelian argument uses the causal series that is hierarchical or essential. No? So, also, he has also said that why is such a distinction important? It is important because in an accidentally ordered series, maybe if our listeners haven't known this, the series does not need in principle a first cause. So I would agree that if the argument uses a causal series that is ordered per accidents, then we do not need a first cause, because the causal series can just go to infinity. No? But as I have said, the argument uses a causal series that is ordered per se. What is the main difference? What is the crucial difference? The crucial difference is this: in a causal series ordered per se, the actualizers are the basis of the causal power of the effects actualize other actualizers. Meaning, things that are actualized have their causal powers derived from their actualizers. For example, we can use the example of a table, no? A table which has a cup of coffee in it. The coffee is being held by the cup is being held by the table is being held by the floor, and so on. At any moment that you remove any of those things that hold the water in place, no? At any moment that you remove them, the water would change location. It would fall down into the ground, and maybe the cup would break. The point is this, that what we are concerned with in this argument is not a first cause in the sense of time, but a first cause in the sense that which grounds the very existence of the universe at this very moment, like the ground, which holds the entire causal series in place, no? That holds then that substance S which undergoes the change. So maybe we can discuss more about these two causal series later, because this is very crucial to understand the argument. It is also said that the universe could be infinite. As I said, even Saint Thomas Aquinas, no, said that we cannot prove by philosophy that the universe could be infinite. Maybe he's wrong with that. No, maybe we're not sure, but that is a claim. It is in a sense, if we will be talking about interpretation, that is an eisegesis in a sense. It is using what one understands in the Kalam cosmological argument and using that interpretation to interpret the Aristotelian proof, which is very wrong-headed, no? 9. Why does the pure act have to be God? As I've said, we can talk about that in the stage 2, and the time was not enough earlier. We can just summarize some points. As I've said, there has to be only one purely actual actualizer, because if there has to be more than one, there must be a differentiating feature that one purely actual actualizer has that the other purely actual actualizer lacks. But to have one is to have a potential, but being purely actual, it does not have. Therefore, there has to be only one purely actual actualizer. So it is consistent with the theistic view of God as only one, and it disproves polytheism. It also has to be, as I've said earlier, it has to be immutable, because to be immutable is to be incapable of change, and being purely actual, it has no potentiality whatsoever to be actualized. Therefore, it is immutable. It has to be eternal, because if it is not eternal, meaning if it is in time, then it is capable of change, because whatever is in time is capable of change. It is changing with time, across time. So it has to be eternal, because it is immutable. Now, if it is outside time, then it has to be outside the universe. Right? And if it is outside the universe, then it is immaterial, because matter is confined to the universe, or maybe of the multiverse, whatsoever. So if the multiverse is true, then it is outside that. It has to be incorporeal, because a body, is matter, and is immaterial. Therefore, he has no body, which means he is spiritual. It has to be perfect, because to be perfect, one has to have no privation whatsoever. One has to have no potentiality that is unactualized. But but the existent thing that we have proved, a purely actual actualizer, being purely actual, it lacks any such potential that is unactualized. Therefore, it is perfect, or it is perfect. It is also fully good, because there is also no potentiality in him that is unactualized. He has to be omnipotent, because all the causal powers in their series that we have said, and all causal powers that are being actualized inside the universe, or even the multiverse, are from him. They're all derived from him. And to be that which from which all power derives is to be omnipotent. So God, or that purely actual actualizer, has to be omnipotent. It has to be intelligent. More in this later, we can talk about this because of the constraint of time, but maybe in the Q&A. But the point is, he has to have all those key divine features. But to have a purely actualizer, which is the cause of the universe, which has all those all those key attributes, is what it means for God to exist. And Saint Thomas Aquinas did not stop at proving that an unmoved mover exists. If you just turn a page, you will see, or even the table of contents, you will see that he then goes on to elaborate that such a purely actualizer has the key divine attributes and has to be God. So it has to be God, no? And we have shown that through reason. Now, how much time do we have left? 40 seconds left. Okay. So about the remark from quantum physics, as it must be clear that the principle of causality does not have to be deterministic. It can be indeterministic. Therefore, if there are conditions that have to be necessary for certain changes to occur in the quantum realm, then the principle of causality still has to be true. It does not have to be deterministic. So one last objection which we have time to rebut is that, okay, if God exists, then we must be able to prove him empirically, meaning that we must sense something that tells us that God exists, and only that can be a basis for us to believe that God exists. But that is a problem, because God, if he exists, is invisible. If he exists, he has no body. If he exists, he is beyond the universe, and empirical evidence has to be inside the universe, and by definition, or by its very nature, it cannot be used to infer or to know about God's existence, but rather we research the effects, the causes. So
your grace period for information. Okay, are you done?
Yes.
All right, that's great. So yeah, so para makasunod yung viewers or makikinig sa atin, first nag-argue si Sir Mark Steven about God's existence through yun nga, Dr. Edward Fester's argument, and then nirebat ni Sir Mar na kaya nga, how can you say that this is a God, and how could you be so sure in spite of limited senses and limited na kaya nating i-perceive. Next is, ngayon, sa speech ni Sir Mark Steven, ang may explain ko lang is somehow sa kanyang epistemology. First is, sabi niya na, this is our best explanation. Since this is how the consensus works, since sabihin natin the best explanation ng shape ng Earth is circle, that's the best explanation. That's what the consensus says. So, meaning, ito yung truth. Kumbaga, parang since tama ba ako, Sir Mar? Sir Mark Steven, if something that is na way better explanation, mag-change bang mind mo?
Maybe, but that really is not my point.
Yeah. But for instance, merong much better, pero it's not. I'm not saying na meron talaga. What if there's a much better explanation? Para intellectual honesty lang na pakita natin. Yes.
What do you mean that there is a better explanation of change that is not God?
Yeah. That there's a better explanation that it should not be labeled as God.
Okay, so if there is a better explanation, then maybe I would reconsider.
Yeah. So yeah, that's yun ang natindihan ko sa epistemology. Since that's the best explanation, yun eh. And of course, yung sa last part niya, sabi niya na, you have to, para in philosophy, ontological and epistemological distinction, two entities or itong dalawang phenomena sa to are not the same in nature. God and is timeless, spaceless, hindi siya matter. So you cannot investigate both in the same manner. So yeah, that's just it. So hindi natin patatagalin pa. Next speaker is Sir Mar of AITP. Let's go.
Yes, thank you, moderator. I-unpack muna natin yung sa nauna, no? Yung sinabi mo kanina, yung tungkol sa quantum physics, no? na tawag dito, yung tinatawag na double slit experiment, yung mayroon tayong tinatawag na observer effect, no. Ay ang observer effect kasi it's not technically a metaphysical phenomenon, no. Ang sinasabi lang ng observer effect is that at the subatomic level, sobrang liit na nung mga ino-observe nating particles that kapag ka inobserve natin siya, which requires light, 'di ba? Pag nag-observe tayo, kailangan may ilaw, otherwise natin makita, 'di ba? Yung mismong photons themselves, binabago yung state ng mga subatomic particles, no. So yun lang yung significance nung quantum mechanics na yun, no. Pagdating sa observer effect, it's that at the subatomic level, yung notion natin ng typical observance breaks down kasi mismong yung pag-observe entails change, no? So sige, enough about that. Let's get to Mark Stevens' arguments. Yung issue nung sa English ni Mark Steven, understandable naman. Hindi mo fault, Mark Steven, kung hindi naintindihan ng audience yung mga pinagsabi mo, no? Yeah, they have the responsibility pag nanonood sila nung usapan natin to research, no? You research beforehand, I research beforehand, the audience after this, they should too, no? Para matuto sila. So, okay lang 'yan, no? Let's learn together, no? So, teka. Ang simulan natin is yung from the latest mong sinabi up to the top, no? So, una natin yung there has to be one actualizer, no? Pinoint out ni Mark Steven na yung buong argument ni Fesser, which is premises 1 to 14 and then 15 to 16 hanggang sa 50, it entails singular, perfect, all-powerful, all-knowing, all-good, ganto ganyan, tag dito, fully good, no? Na-address naman yon dun sa argument, no, ni Fesser. Pero yun na nga yung issue dun, no? You can define these premises yourself such that it will be consistent internally, no? You still have not proved it to be the existing God. It's only an arbitrary label given to the characteristics of perfect, all-powerful, all-knowing, all-good, etc. na kapag ka pinag-combine mo, it will invoke a ton of contradictions na kailangan mong i-justify, no? At yung mga contradictions na yan, it will be best addressed on another topic, namely yung the problem of evil, the problem of divine hiddenness, no? Yan yung mga magsa-surface, no? Pagka sinabi mo na all-powerful, all-knowing, all-good. I'm sure napag-usapan natin to dati, no? So, yung characteristics ni God na ikinabit, no, based on the deductive reasoning sa Fesser's argument, kailangan required siya na maging realistic din, no? This is a classic example that even if the entire syllogism is sound, it doesn't mean that it is true or it comports with reality, no? It just means that the argument is consistent within itself. And this is the trick na ginagawa ng mga theists, no? Gumagawa sila ng contained scenario where everything is defined by them, no? Yung concept by God, yung concept ng perfection, ng maximally great, in a way na consistent sila with each other, without considering the fact that these attributes is non-existent in the real world, no? And therefore it cannot be tested, no? Metaphysical na nga, hindi mo pa matetest kung anong ibig sabihin nung perfect, nung all-powerful, no, nung all-knowing, all-good, no? Kasi hindi mo siya makikita sa reality. Nakikita mo lang siya doon sa mismong contained argument mo on the premises, no? So in short, kung bibigyan natin ng analogy, para mo na rin sinabi na the entire Middle-earth universe created by J.R.R. Tolkien sa Lord of the Rings must be true just because consistent siya internally at walang contradictions dun sa mga libro niya, no? Ang tanong ba, is it consistent with reality itself, no? And then mapunta tayo dun din sa Aquinas says that we can prove universe is not infinite. Wala naman nagsasabi nga na required na magkaroon ng finite o infinite universe kasi nga ang distinction mo dun sa causal series is between accidental versus essential, no? Sa definition mo ng essential, ginamit mo yung table analogy, no, na kapag inalis mo yung isang aspeto nung cause, yung whole series is mababali, no? Kapag ka yung Yung table nakapatong sa floor, yung floor nakapatong sa semento, tapos pag yung nakapatong sa lupa, tanggalin mo yung lupa, magbe-breakdown lahat, no? Pati yung table, no? Ang argument ko naman din dito kasi is yung hierarchical series eventually pupunta rin siya sa beginning, no? Basically lang ina-argue mo dito is the unmoved mover itself is the beginning. Kasi nga siya yung actualizer na mag-actualize ng lahat. No? Pero since you have asserted na hindi siya pwedeng i-actualize ng isang actualizer dahil magkakaroon ng infinite regress, you have to assert that the universe must be finite and had a beginning. Nandun na tayo requirement na yun dun sa argument that the universe must have a beginning. So kapag ka may nagsabi or may na-discover ng mga scientists na the universe is infinite, basically your argument breaks down. 'Di ba? In fact, let me ask you this, no? If you say God is uncaused, why can't I say that the universe is uncaused? 'Di ba? Anong pinagkaiba niya? This shows the meaningless label of God when you think about it. Kaya lang siya uncaused kasi God ang tawag mo sa kanya. Pero as far as we know, the universe can be infinite and it can be uncaused, which is sabi mo nga, hindi naman yun yung kino-contain ng argument mo. So there is a possibility, di ba? Who knows? Kasi to prove this, kailangan ikaw maging perspective ka outside this reality to prove once and for all kung sino ba talaga yung tunay na cause. No? And we cannot do that. Kasi kung ang rason mo para i-argue yung uncaused cause is dahil illogical and infinite regress, pero you make a special pleading case para kay God, para di siya kasama sa infinite regress, you have not proven anything. Lahat ito ay speculation lang, hinging on the hope that our reality today is the same as the reality on the very beginning. And this is, in a nutshell, the problem of induction. No? Therefore, deducing God's existence using Fesser's syllogism will not work because in the end, pipigilan ka pa rin ng problem of induction. No? Yung nagsasabi, maraming nagsasabi sa comments, no, this is a deductive reasoning, so you have no choice but to accept it. Pero yung assumptions mo, yung underlying assumptions mo is based on induction. And yun nga, the problem of induction states that meron kang primary assumption na yung physics, yung causality, yung understanding natin is the same as the events on the previous, which is unsubstantiated, di ba? Tapos, ayun, so, yung isa pa, God does not commit special pleading. Sinabi mo kanina because hindi siya nagko-commit ng change, di ba? Kasi nga siya yung unactualized actualizer, no? Unfortunately, this is still a special pleading fallacy, no? Moved 1 degree further, ika nga, di ba? Kasi ang sa nakikita ko dito is hindi pwedeng maging special pleading si God, no? Dahil hindi siya actualized, no? Tsaka hindi siya mover, isa siyang kumbaga para siyang creator, kumbaga from something to nothing, di ba? Ito yung sinasabi ko rin ulit na tactic ng theist, no? To escape the logical fallacies. If their argument is that they employ different meanings to words such that kakasya siya ng maayos dun sa argument nila, pero di naman siya consistent with reality. No? Take a look at this. Binuo nila yung premises around the observation in nature na change occurs via a transition from potentiality to actuality, no? Tapos nagbigay ng example, di ba, na yung tubig potentially mainit, naging actual na mainit because something acted upon it. Pero when we try to disprove their argument by pointing out na special pleading siya, no, who actualized na the actualizer, magkakaroon ngayon ng shift in words, no? Yung magkakaroon ngayon ng wordplay. Tawag dito, parang naging ano nga siya, naging parang creation nga siya, no? But this definition of creation is not reflected in reality. All we have are examples of creating something from something, therefore implying change, diba? Pero pagdating sa God, nagbago na yung meaning, naging creation from nothing. For me, this is just a semantic wordplay. Pwede kong i-argue that nothing has a potential to be something, therefore pasok pa rin siya dun sa fallacy ng God nila. Ginawan pa rin nila yung exception. All actual comes from an actualizer, except our God that we defined as an actualized actualizer. See the words, they call their God unactualized actualizer, unchanging changer, unmoved mover, uncaused cause, and the attempt na i-redefine itong God papunta sa creation, no, is an apparent shifting of the goalposts, no. And ibalikan natin yung table analogy no ni Mark Steven. Gusto kong i-pinpoint yung sinasabi ko kanina na essential causal series will in effect kahit anong mangyari, pupunta pa rin siya doon sa key concept of beginning, no? Kunwari, let's use the example of laptop, no? Pagka laptop, gusto mong buksan, gusto mo siyang i-change from on to off, di ba? So, i-apply natin. May laptop ka that has a potential to be on. Isasaksak mo siya sa extension, isasaksak mo yung extension sa wall outlet, so nag-on na yung laptop mo, nagkaroon ng change, di ba? The chain reaction ng actualization dito is yung pag-on ng laptop caused by electric current, caused by the power cables transmitting electrons, caused by the electromagnetic induction ng generator, caused by a renewable energy source, let's say nuclear, caused by fission reaction ng atoms, caused by the weak nuclear force, one of the 4 fundamental forces of the universe, which was caused by the subatomic particles, caused by the Big Bang, and then caused by, dito na tayo magtatanong, and we can speculate na yung first cause natin is God or the universe, etc. Pero in the assertion na if there is no unmoved mover, change would be impossible. It's clearly untrue. No? Kasi if we can speculate na ang universe ay infinite, at ang isa sa mga consequences ng pag-exist niya is ang pagbuo ng mga subatomic particles at fundamental forces, then yung subsequent changes resulting from it ay mangyayari pa din. May unactualized actualizer man o wala, change will still occur. No? Ang sa akin lang is nakasubscribe ako sa tinasabi nating Occam's razor. No? So, sa mga hindi nakakalam, yung Occam's razor is yung philosophical principle na the less assumptions you make, the closer you are to the truth. No? And then, through removing the assumption of this uncaused cause or God, no? Magkakaroon tayo ng less baggage para i-explain. No? So, nabanggit ko nga yung baggage natin na yung special characteristics na all-powerful, all-knowing, all-good, tapos pag pinagsama mo yun, magkakaroon ka ng contradictions. Maybe, Mark Steven, we can discuss that on another debate, no? Pero yun yung laban ko doon, no? Pag pinagsama-sama mo lahat ng premises ni Fesser at ni Aristotle, you will have within you a contradiction that you yourself must answer in order for Fesser or for Aristotle to be right in the first place. Yes. Ano ba? Tawag ba ako? Hindi naman? O yun, so I guess yun yung bulto ng rebuttals ko, no? And I hope na yung mga makikinig i-research din yung argument ni Fesser, argument ni Aristotle para mas maintindihan natin ng maayos kung hindi man nila magets, no? So yun, thank you.